well, we are officially into October with not many different changes. So here I am inside of my closet discussing Inside Number 9, the British dark comedy anthology series. It probably comes as no surprise at this point that I do enjoy my taste of horrors along with my taste in cartoons, which is why I love geeking out over Infinity Train. It's kind of the best of both worlds for me at the moment. But also thanks to HBO Max, I was able to dive into the British series Inside Number 9, but this wasn't the first time I had heard about it. Officially, I heard about it back when the YouTube channel Inside Mind had covered their live episode, which sounded absolutely bonkers, and I really wanted to know more about the show and what it was. And now, while I don't have a time machine where I can go back to October 28th of 2018 to experience their live episode myself, luckily HBO Max allowed me to view the rest of the series to see exactly what wonders awaited. Needless to say, it was a wild trip. I mean, just hearing the coverage about what their live episode was like, I suppose I should have expected that things were going to be pretty wild off the get-go, but I don't think I anticipated how insane this show could get, and more specifically, how much I enjoyed watching it absolutely go off the rails. I think the hardest part about filming in a closet is I can't tell where the camera angle is going in the dark with my flashlight phone on. So for those of you that don't know, Inside Number 9 is a black comedy anthology sketch created by Reese Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. I was afraid I would mispronounce those last names, so I'm literally looking at the Wikipedia article right now just to make sure I say them correctly. And it seems like they've got several really decent shows under their belt, Psychoville being another one that also takes that dark comedy edge as well. But Inside Number 9 is unique not only for its anthology aspect, but also for the fact that it takes different ideas and mediums and basically tries pushing them as far as they can. And usually also involving some last-minute twist that completely makes you reevaluate everything that you just watched in the last 30 minutes. It's the variety that I think is the most exciting thing about it, because I always knew if there was an episode I viewed and didn't necessarily like, there were chances that I would enjoy the next episode because it would be entirely different from the previous one. It's not like a show where you know what you're getting into for the remaining seasons. Each thing is completely, entirely different, and sometimes you think you know what you're expecting, and then it gives you something completely different in the last 5 minutes that makes you look through the whole thing and see it in new eyes, which makes some of the episodes really good for that second viewing pleasure, which always helps bring up a show from like here to about here. I say that as if I had a scale. There is no scale. I just wanted to do some hand movements. I feel kind of funny that I'm also talking about it because every YouTube commentator I've seen that has discussed Inside Number 9 has been a part of the UK in some aspect. So it feels weird. Here I am, an American, sharing her opinions on the internet like we needed one more of us, right? I have seen people describe Inside Number 9 as kind of along the lines of Black Mirror and The Twilight Zone, and it is that to a certain aspect. It definitely leans on that kind of twists and creep factor a lot of the time, but there are some occasions where it completely goes in the opposite direction and does something a little bit more casual. There have been a couple of episodes that have just been completely dramatic filled. Nothing horrible necessarily. There isn't like a huge last minute twist that's going to destroy you, but it's still very heartfelt and you get attached to these characters and their journey even if you don't understand completely what's going on. And of course, if you have HBO Max, then you have access to Inside Number 9 along with their really weird lineup of horror films that they have. Honestly, in all the streaming services I've kind of viewed, I have no idea what HBO Max is doing with its horror lineup. They've got all the Leprechaun movies. Why? But then I'm totally getting off track there. That's probably a video for another time, is discussing HBO Max's weird horror movie lineup. Maybe I'll make Avery do that with me. He's supposed to be reviewing movies. He hasn't done that since Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't really want to go into too much detail about the things that make Inside Number 9 really great. The basic premise of almost all of the little vignettes of episodes that tie them together are the fact that they all take place in some kind of enclosed space, and they all revolve around the number 9 in particular, which is the title of the show. So you've got basically the whole premise of every single episode just within the title of itself, which is pretty brilliant now that I'm thinking about it. And like I said, a lot of these episodes do involve some kind of last-minute twist that completely makes you reevaluate said episode, or some of them are just a jolly good time as well. Listen to me, I said jolly. I don't think I've said jolly in my entire life. Jolly! And since each episode is so unique, I don't really want to go into too much detail, so I'm just going to highlight some of the ones that I enjoyed a lot of. And when I've kind of gone through top 10 lists, I've noticed other people that have seen Inside Number 9 have also listed these episodes as well as some of their favorites. So if you have never heard of this show before and really want to look into it, these would probably be some of the ones I suggest. The first episode of the first season, immediately, Sardines. It's not their best one, but it definitely introduces you to exactly what kind of show this is and what you are going to expect from it in the future. Which is basically to expect nothing at all, because it's going to destroy you no matter what you try to anticipate. That's part of what makes it so good. It can get very British at times for those of you viewing it outside of that world. In particular, the first episode of season 5 revolved around football and the referees, and I'll admit I had a hard time understanding a lot of what was going on, but that's okay because I knew I wasn't necessarily the target audience for that particular episode. And clearly there are Americans that do watch football. I don't know if they get as passionate about it, but I have known a couple of people that they do. Football is a super passionate thing amongst the fans, so that episode was more catered for them. I'm not really a sports person in general. I'm into weird sports like bowling and golf. You know, sports I can play by myself. I don't know what that says about me. But some of the episodes I really did like. There are praises all around for the second episode of season 1, A Quiet Night In. And this episode also kind of tied into the live episode that they did, which I'm not going to say much about that since I wasn't able to view that one. Because like I said, in order to get the full experience, you would have had to see it live. And unfortunately, none of us have time machines to go back and experience that. But the episode of Quiet Night In is really cool and creative and actually very humorous as well. And it was great to see how they managed to incorporate this really complex story while using absolutely no dialogue for the majority of it. There's only one person that speaks one thing, and it's at the very end. And I think he only says one sentence as well, if I'm remembering it. So it's just 30 minutes of setting up this situation and us watching it with absolutely no dialogue, and yet we're still able to pick up the tension and what's going on and what each character is about, and it's just fantastic. There's not much more I can say about it without spoiling it. Another episode that I really liked, this one I saw creeped out a lot of people if they watched it. They put it a lot on there. This one freaked me out list for Inside Number 9, but I think that's what I enjoy about it. So yeah, The Devil of Christmas, it's an episode that's based around creating like a 1970s Christmas horror themed special. And what's really cool about it is apparently they actually used film equipment from the 1970s to film it, so you really felt like it was a part of that time. And again, that's all I'm really going to say about it, because there's stuff that this is an episode where things get completely turned on its head in like the last 2 minutes that completely blow your mind. And then when you go back and watch over it, you start to notice things, you know, now that you know what the twist is. And again, that one is a little bit more squeamish. It might make people a little bit more uncomfortable. It wasn't that uncomfortable per se, but again, I think it kind of depends on what you consider uncomfortable. For me, I'm not a big fan of the gross out stuff, so Inside Number 9 does do a lot of kind of gross out jokes or gross out moments. They never really display anything very explicit overall, but that stuff still, I didn't like thinking about it that much. And again, the other stuff, the more kind of flat out slasher or gory moments, I was totally okay with because I like slasher movies. But of course, if scary stuff isn't your thing, there are some good drama-filled episodes. One of the biggest Inside Number 9 highlights is the 12 Days of Christine, which follow these very important moments in this one woman's life. And again, there's a little bit of a twist in that as well, but it's not a scary twist. It's more kind of a sobering feeling that allows you to fully grasp the idea of what's going on, and it's just a really great overall character study of focusing in on this one character and seeing who she is as a person and viewing her entire life into these short segments. So they are really good at that. Inside Number 9 is actually strong for a couple of aspects. One, they're able to work with any media, it seems like. Any kind of form of media, any way, shape, twists, something from the past, something from the future, working with live stuff, working with, pre-recorded things. They just get really clever with having everything not be set up the same, not only in the situation, but also how it's filmed as well, which gives you entirely different perspectives when you view the episodes, which is what makes each one so unique and interesting. And then on top of that, they are really great at creating characters and looking into character studies. If you've watched my Infinity Train cartoon corners, it's funny how many times I bring up Infinity Train, but Infinity Train almost feels like a cartoon version of Inside Number 9 at this point, just in terms of how in-depth they go with their character studies and how they focus so specifically on certain characters for a certain period of time, and then once that sort of vignette is over, they'll move on to something entirely different, but you can always feel that it's somewhat tied together by something. In the case of Infinity Train, it's always tied together by the train itself, and with Inside Number 9, it's always tied into the fact that there's the number 9, and it's in some kind of enclosed space that you don't leave for most of the vignette. And that's all I'm really going to say about it. Again, if you have no idea of what this is or what I was just babbling on about, definitely go check out Inside Number 9 for yourself. You can either find it on HBO Max or I think BBC probably has a streaming service. I don't know if they do, but I feel almost every television thing has a streaming service of some sort at this point. So go look up wherever it's streaming and find it, enjoy it for your viewing pleasure. In terms of the live episode, which again, that was the thing that got me hooked into wanting to know what Inside Number 9 was all about in the first place. As far as I can tell, there isn't necessarily a recording of what happened, unfortunately, because it was something you really had to experience in the moment that it happened. So I would recommend going over to Inside Mind's channel and finding his video covering the live episode of Inside Number 9. But I don't think you'll really appreciate the whole thing until you actually view a couple of episodes of Inside Number 9 to see what it's all about. Because I watched his video, and then I saw Inside Number 9, and then I went back and rewatched that video, and I just got a whole new appreciation for exactly what they had done, even though I was not able to witness it as it happened myself. So there's a lot of Inception nuances happening here. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I just really wanted to talk about Inside Number 9 and didn't really know how to do that in my usual kind of puppet kid-friendly-ish format. So I figured filming it in a dark room space would kind of help give context of what I wanted to talk about, just to gush over Inside Number 9. So there you have it. An American covering Inside Number 9. I don't know if I'm the first, but if I am, hooray for me, I suppose. But there's also a lot of great channels that are based in the UK that have covered Inside Number 9 in more depth. So of course, if you wanted to see like more analysis on specific episodes or kind of more of a top 10 list of top Inside Number 9 episodes or the top most shocking Inside Number 9 episodes, we'll leave the references to those channels below, the links to go check out those channels, because they describe things in so much more detail than I could possibly in this moment. And they just do those more justice than I could. So, you know, why repeat something that has already been put out in the world and is pretty good? So with that, hopefully things will be kicking off here this October. I don't exactly know what we're going to be doing, but I can guarantee we will be doing something. So with that in mind, if you want to hang in there, see what kind of crazy shenanigans we'll get up to, of course, as always, you can go and hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed my weird ramblings about Inside Number 9, you can go ahead and like this video as well. Maybe comment below on if you've heard of this show before, and if you have, wow, my words. If you have, what your favorite episodes were or least favorite episodes. Or if you haven't even heard about it at all and I opened your eyes to this brand new world of weird anthology series that you can look into if you're finished with Black Mirror and don't know what to do with your life, you can, I don't know, comment about that as well. I don't know. I never know what to do with my comment section because half of the time I can't have it open. Yeah. I wonder what time it is. It feels like it's pretty late. Hey, Bosh, what are you doing in the closet? Ah!